Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I'm going to explain statistics. So, statistics deal with five parts. The first part, identify the object. The second part, collecting data. Third part, organize data. Fourth part, making calculation. Fifth part, make conclusion. So as I said, statistics deal with five parts: identify the object, second part collecting data, third part organizing data, fourth part making calculation, and at the end we're going to do conclusion. So for identify the object we called it parameter. Para parameter. So what is a parameter? The character I measure. This parameter might be like, for example, measuring blood pressure, maybe for example, effect of smoking. So smoking is my parameter. And since I'm going to do statistical study, I have to understand two concepts. What are these two concepts? The first concept, what's the population? And what's the sample? The population is the whole group. The sample, the selected group. Okay, so far we're still confused what's population, what's the sample, since I said the whole group and selected group. Like for example, if one day I'm going to test a medication, I'm not going to test it on all human beings, but I'm going to select a group from the human beings that are going to be tested for that medication. So my population in that case is going to be the all human beings, and my sample is going to be the group that going to be tested for the medication. Another thing, like for example, if you're making export, import, and one day you decided to bring like 50 tons of oranges and you want to sell it in United States. So in that case, the government will not test the 50 tons, but they're going to get samples. Like for example, they're going to get 50 kilo or 100 kilos to be tested to be sure that the oranges are good and the human can consume it. So in that case, the population is going to be the 50 tons, and either the 10 or the 100 kilograms are going to be the sample. For picking up a sample, it should comes from random distribution. Sample must come from random distribution. I'm going to talk it later. I'm going to talk about it later, but now I'm going to talk about the type of study. So since I'm going to do some statistics, I have to make a design for the study. The design might be one of three things: survey, experimental, or observation. What's the difference between survey, experimental, and observation? So in survey, I'm asking you about your opinion, and that's a common type of statistical study. Like if you get a service by any company, they ask you to do a survey at the end. They ask you to do a survey at the end. So survey is like a questionnaire. You have many questions. You answer these questions. I'm getting your answer back, and I'm going to do some statistical study. So in survey, I'm asking you about the opinion. So in that case, I have to highlight when I see question asking you about my opinion, that's a survey. The second type, experimental. Experimental, so I'm testing something new. I'm testing something new. Like, for example, I have a new medication, I have a new engine, I have something new. So, in that time, at that time, I'm going to test the new thing or the new stuff versus the old stuff. So, in that case, I'm going to have a control, I'm going to have an experimental group. So in that case, when I say I'm testing something, or you see the word control, means I have an experimental design. The last one is observation. Observation related always to habit. Related always to habit. So in that case, I'm not going to enforce you to do something. I'm just studying a habit. Like for example, I wanted to measure the effect of smoking on breathing. So I'm not going to enforce somebody doesn't like to smoke. Okay, you have to smoke to study. No, in that case, I'm picking up the people who smoke versus the people who not smoking, who don't smoke. So in that case, I'm testing a habit. So the difference between the three. If I ask you about your opinion, that's a survey. If I asked you, if I test a habit, that's observation. If I have a control or I test something new, that's going to be experimental. So that's the three different statistical study. Now, so now I'm going to talk about bias. Bias means error. Bias means error. Bias means error. This error maybe because of the design of the experiment, or in a survey, I make a survey biased. Yeah. So if I'm talking about the sampling is a source of bias. Sampling. Like for example, if I decide to ask students if you like physics or no, and in that case I go for AB physics, it's biased. Why? Because I picked up already people who like physics. So in that case, I'm going to have a fake or a false feedback. The same example, but in any other subject. But there are tricks in that part. For example, if I asked you about if you like the food that the cafeteria is serving for you, and in that case, I'm asking only one class, so I didn't cover the whole population. Like for example, I asked the ninth graders. So what about the 12, the 11, the 10? It's different. But if I asked you, or I told you I got students from English class, here I'm unbiased. Why? In English class is a subject being taught in 9, 10, 11, 12. So in that case, I cover the whole population. So that's one of the tricks part. So before knowing that the sampling is biased or unbiased, I have to think logically. So there are some subjects that being taught all over the years, like you have gem, you have uh, English being taught 9, 11, 10, 12. So that's for sampling. Another source for bias, but this is for survey. Survey may be biased by 4 factors. Survey biased. The first one, confused words. So I did a bad formulation for the question. The second part, encourage certain answer. Like for example, do you like the boring game? So I make you think that the game is boring in that case. So I formulated the question in a way that giving you an answer. So in that case, it's biased. Address more than one issue. So I give you a lot of questions that making you about many stuffs that making you like confused. The last one, something cause strong reaction. It's the same thing like when I formulate the question in a way, making you having the answer. Or for example, I know you hate something, so I I make it stress you. Okay. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson, study, and do the assignment. Have a good day, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.